Prime Minister Modi on a three-day Sri Lanka tour. First India-Sri Lanka deal to be inked today. India-Sri Lanka defence deal to counter China. Key defence energy deals on agenda. India and Sri Lanka will sign a comprehensive defence cooperation memorandum of understanding today during Prime Minister Modi's Colombo visit. The pact aims to streamline bilateral security ties. India expects Sri Lanka to uphold its commitment to prevent anti-India activities amid past concerns over Chinese naval presence. India and Sri Lanka are set to sign their first ever defence cooperation agreement. In addition to the defence pact, both nations are expected to finalise several agreements, including a deal on restructuring Sri Lanka's debt, following talks between Modi and Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake today. So India and Sri Lanka are slated to sign a comprehensive defence deal today and a bunch of memorandum of understandings. During Prime Minister Modi's Colombo visit, the pact aims to streamline bilateral security ties. India expects Sri Lanka to uphold its commitment to prevent anti-India activities over Chinese naval presence. India and Sri Lanka are set to sign their first ever defence cooperation agreement. In addition to the defence pact, both nations are expected to finalise several agreements, including a deal on restructuring Sri Lanka's debt, following talks between Modi and Sri Lankan President Dissanayake. So the Prime Minister Modi is on a three-day Sri Lanka tour with the first India-Sri Lanka deal to be inked today. India and Sri Lanka defence deal will be signed to counter China. Key defence and energy deals are on the agenda. India and Sri Lanka will sign a comprehensive defence cooperation memorandum of understanding today during Prime Minister Modi's Colombo visit. Now, the pact aims to streamline bilateral security ties. India expects Sri Lanka to uphold its commitment to prevent anti-India activities amid past concerns over Chinese naval presence. India and Sri Lanka are set to sign their first ever defence cooperation agreement. In addition to the defence pact, both nations are expected to finalise several agreements, including a deal on restructuring Sri Lanka's debt, following talks between Modi and Sri Lankan President Dissanayake. Prime Minister Modi has landed in Sri Lanka for a three-day visit, during which both the countries are expected to sign key deals in defence, energy, digital infrastructure, health and trade sectors. This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit since Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake took charge last year. It also comes after Dissanayake's visit to India in December, his first state visit since assuming office. During this visit, Prime Minister Modi will be carrying forward India's initiative to help Sri Lanka rebuild after the 2022 economic crisis battered the island nation. He is likely to sign key agreements like the joint venture between India's National Thermal Power Corporation and Sri Lanka's Ceylon Electricity Board for a 120 megawatt solar power plant in Trikonamali that will address the island nation's growing energy needs. Trade and defence and maritime security will also be on the agenda, is what we know. The Prime Minister's visit comes at a time when Tamil Nadu has passed a resolution to retrieve kacha teevar from Sri Lanka, an emotive issue for fishermen in the state due to the long-standing dispute over fishing rights around the 285-acre island. On his last visit, Sri Lanka's new president, Dissanayake, who took office after Rajapaksa was ousted in a massive movement, thanked India for its positive, impactful role in providing development assistance to the island nation. My colleague Geeta Mohan is joining me live on the broadcast from Colombo, Sri Lanka. Geeta, Prime Minister Modi is on a three-day tour to Sri Lanka. First India-Sri Lanka deal will be inked today. Give us more details on the deals that are on the cards that will be signed today.
Well, where I am is, let me just explain to you where I am at right now. This is the Independence Square. This is where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Dissanayake will be coming right behind me. They're laying down the red carpet for the leadership to arrive, and this is where he'll receive the guard of honor. The forces over here, the bands of the multiple forces were practicing just a while ago. In some time, you'll also be seeing the senior army officials of the Sri Lankan government come. Many of them are assessing the situation on the ground. But yes, let's go back to your question on what can be expected today. After the ceremonial reception over here, Prime Minister Modi and President Dissanayake will be getting into a restricted level dialogue at the President's Secretariat, followed by delegation level talks. There are important inaugurations that are going to happen, whether it is the solar power plant which will be virtually inaugurated by the leaders. It is a very important aspect in terms of energy cooperation between the two sides, but we're also looking at a lot of important cooperation in various sectors. The most important and key one is going to be an MOU that's going to be signed on the defense front. Now, India and Sri Lanka have had a lot of defense cooperation, training, so on and so forth. But this defense agreement is a milestone. It's going to be historic. India has concerns with regards to Sri Lanka. Every time there's a change in government, the leanings change. Pro-China governments, when they're here in Sri Lanka, it becomes difficult for New Delhi to engage Colombo. But there has also been a realization in Colombo that irrespective of which government is in power over here and who they side with, when Sri Lanka is in need, India becomes the first responder, and therefore the assistance, aid, railway projects that are going to be inaugurated in Anuradhapura, and the religious and cultural connect that the Prime Minister is going to emphasize by going to Anuradhapura. So there's a lot that's going to happen, but there are about 10 agreements and MOUs that are likely to be signed. The most important of them is going to be the Memorandum of Understanding on Defence, which will entail training as also joint exercises between the two countries.
Absolutely, Geeta. Also there is the question of China, with Chinese naval presence. There have been tensions and concerns regarding Chinese naval presence. What are the deals that will help counter that?
Well, like I said, the defense cooperation agreement between the two sides is going to be something that is going to be important. There is going to be exchange of not just training of personnel, but exchange of information between the two sides. There are going to be joint exercises. One will not be surprised if Sri Lanka continues to engage China. That is Sri Lanka in its best or worst. You see them not just balance ties like they did in the past, sometimes also use one card against the other. President Dissanayake was has visited Beijing, has had contacts and engaged them on the Belt and Road Initiative as well. So while they are engaging India with a lot of fervor, there is a traditional engagement that continues with Beijing. There's a lot of pledging of in terms of assistance and aid, but also money for projects. So there are important projects where Chinese are involved, which also includes the critical Hambantota port, and which is on lease to China. So there are many strategic assets that India has to look at when it comes to how China has its influence here in Sri Lanka, in this island nation. Having said that, India and Sri Lanka are looking to increase their engagement. A defense agreement between the two countries is one way of doing it, and a step forward when it comes to looking at the countries, looking at their strategic aspects, and when national interests converge with regional interests, and when defense agreements are signed, they also become mutual. So in many aspects, we'd be looking at how mutually the two countries are going to engage in sagar diplomacy to secure the Indian Ocean waters.
Absolutely, Geeta. Thanks for bringing us those details.